You'd be surprised what comes up in conversation when paleontologists spend long days in the field. Some of it is deep time in ancient ecosystems. Some of it is, well, trying to remember our fourth favorite hat. This is Fourth Favorite Hat, a look into real dig site chatter of the Montana Dinosaur Center. Each episode brings you the work, the stories, the arguments, the questions, and the odd tangents that emerge when you put scientists, shovels, fossils, and too much sun in the same place. And yes, every guest still has to answer the only question that really matters. What's your fourth favorite hat? Let's get started.
Hello, my name is Andy, and my fourth favorite hat is my South Dakota Badlands dad cap.
I'm Bret, and my fourth favorite hat is my Lake Champlain Lake Monsters baseball cap.
I'm Bryce. My fourth favorite hat is my wide-brimmed Denver Zoo hat.
Longtime fans of our museum may know that we were previously called the Two Medicine Dinosaur Center, not just the Montana Dinosaur Center. There are a couple reasons that our name changed, but one of them is we started branching out into different formations. While yes, we do still spend a lot of time in the Two Medicine Formation, we've also started working in a neighboring formation called the Judith River Formation. That's sort of what we wanted to talk about today. In fact, as of recording this, Bryce and I are working on a lot of Judith River prep projects. Isn't that right?
It is. Our museum's been sitting on some Judith River jackets for quite a bit. Lab work takes a lot longer than field work, so we do have quite the backlog, and we actually have a pretty good haul from this one. We're working on a fellow called Brachiosaurus burgei, which is a pretty interesting hadrosaur. It's one of the oldest of the derived group known, as well as, despite this, it's actually quite large. Usually a lot of the earlier derived hadrosaurs aren't as large as like the later ones, but this one's pretty big. And we have quite a bit of skull material as well as just a lot of limb bones too from the site. So
what's really nice
lots of stuff
about
to get into.
working with the Judith River Formation stuff is just how easy it is. Yes, the bones can crumble, but the matrix is just heaven to go through. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, it really is. Like you don't have to use any of the more powered tools, no air scribes. You can just sit down with some water, a scalpel, some dental picks, similar caliber tools, and you just kind of scrape away, and the bone is preserved real nice. Much harder than the actual surrounding rock. Real easy time, really relaxing.
Yeah, so long as you have glue handy, it's not an issue, but that's kind of the case with most prep work, I would say.
Yeah, it's always important to have your glue.
But besides like Brachiosaurus, we also have some beautiful turtle shells coming from the Judith River Formation.
The museum's director Dustin and I earlier this summer actually got to work on breaking open one of these larger turtle jackets. It's about halfway down now. We just need to actually flip it over and finish it up. But you guys who come to visit this summer will probably get the chance to see it because we're intending on making a newer fossilized turtle exhibit too.
I'm really envious of them. I was doing remote work at the time. It looks so gorgeous. Well, I'm jealous. Good on y'all for doing it well.
It was also kind of a fun opportunity because we actually let Steve, museum's president, practice prep on that as well. So we kind of three-manned it for a bit.
Besides us just having material of the Judith River, what are some things that we can tell you about it? For starters, it is going to be roughly a similar time frame to our Two Medicine Formation, but representing a different environment. So for the Judith River, the whole formation is stretching about 79 million years ago to 75.3 million years ago.
Pretty much almost entirely overlaps with when the Two Medicine Formation is around. So we are working with some of the same species are seen in both these two formations.
Some of the overlap is stuff like Edmontonia can be found in both.
Ornitholestes.
Yeah. As we sort of go into it, we will learn that the difference in the environments is very crucial to the different species we can see, but also there's something to note. There are going to be a lot more species named from the Judith River Formation. And why is that, guys?
So the Judith River Formation is actually one of the most dug-in formations. People have actually been working there since the 1800s. It was one of the places where the Bone Wars, which you guys may have heard of, with Pope and Marsh, that's one of the formations they dug in. So lots of people have been digging there for a long time. The only other formations that have like a similar amount of work done in them are the Hell Creek Formation and the Morrison Formation. Part of it's because there's so much stuff everywhere, and part of it's because it's very easy to prep, as they were talking about.
Yeah, I was about to say, I have to imagine just the ease of like getting through it, because the Two Medicine Formation wasn't really worked for a while because Barnum Brown, the fellow who discovered T-Rex, said these words about it. The Two Medicine Formation has rocks. The rocks aren't great. The rocks have fossils. The fossils aren't great. And when Mr. T-Rex says that, a lot of paleontologists are going to take it as, oh, so it's not worth looking at. Later we find that's not the case, but that really doesn't have anything against the Judith River. That's not the Judith River's fault. Now, part of the reason why there's so many fossils preserved, the specific type of fossils that are being preserved, is due to the differing environment. The Judith River is just a wetter, swampier environment overall. We can see evidence of this based off of the animals present, the plants present, and the abundance of coal.
Yeah, some of these animals include, wide hosts of amphibians, fish of all varieties, champsosaurs, crocodilians, all of which you can find some of in the Two Medicine, but you get substantially more down here in the Judith.
Even some indeterminate plesiosaurs have been found in the Judith River. Should we just start going through what the Judith River has to offer?
I think that sounds
Yeah,
good.
seems like a good way to start.
How about we talk about some of the amphibians?
So yeah, it's normally pretty rare to find amphibian fossils going so far back. In places like the Two Medicine Formation, since we have all that pressure from the mountains moving inward, we have lots of faulting and stuff, so these smaller fossils don't really stay. So there's actually not really any from the Two Medicine, but finding quite a few in the Judith because it's a much gentler environment with the opposition.
There's also the issue of amphibians don't want to be in a drier environment. It's
Yeah,
not
they really do rely on that extra moisture so they don't dry out. A lot of amphibians rely on water to actually lay their eggs. Most.
Some of the fellows we get are Arbrosaurus, which is going to be a type of amphibian called a siren, which is kind of like a aquatic salamander with no back limbs and small front limbs. Lyserpton, another type of salamander. Nesperseus, a frog. Ophisthotriton.
The Triton.
Yeah, and that means like snake with a triton or something. Hi guys, this is editor Andy from the future. Opisthotriton does not mean snake with a triton. Triton, the Greek god of the sea, son of Poseidon, is commonly used to describe newts or salamanders. So I was thinking of Ophiotaurus, which is a snake bull. This is Opistho, meaning backwards. So it's the backwards salamander. Just had to make that edit. Back to the past. But it's a potentially lungless salamander. Prodesmodon, another lungless salamander, and Scaparpton, you'll never guess, another salamander. So a good environment if you're a salamander type fella.
We also have a wide variety of fish, both bony and cartilaginous. Some of those bony fish we end up getting, a guy called Arotis, which is going to be a holostean. That's going to be the same kind of group that just has a lot of those ray-finned bony fish, like pikes and some other guys.
And then if we're looking at the cartilaginous ones, I apologize for cutting this one short, but there are a lot of fish.
There are ranging from gars to sturgeons to even a paddlefish.
Yeah. Isn't it that like the most common Cretaceous fossil is gar scales?
Yeah, that checks out. Quite a few of
Yeah.
the formations I worked with when I was over at Denver just had so many random gar scales just interbedding the matrix, whether we were getting things from like, well, especially from like Utah, get so many gar.
Yeah.
If you're in the Judith, just walking around a lot of time, you can just see gar scales just on the surface, just out there. There's so many everywhere.
For instance, though, if we're looking at the cartilaginous fellas, there's Mylodaphus bipartius, which is a fun stingray. Honestly, fairly well preserved. You know, cartilaginous fish don't last pretty well. That's why most sharks are known from their teeth. This one, in good enough shape. I also mentioned earlier some indeterminate plesiosaurs. That means we're not really sure past it being plesiosaur. There's not a lot of fossils. It's entirely possible that this fella just got washed up to shore, but there's something. There's some plesiosaur. And couple unknown pterosaurs. For as well as the Judith River preserves, a pterosaur is still just going to preserve not well. So, champsosaurs, I never really know how to describe a champsosaur other than imagine a crocodile that isn't.
A lot of them are honestly a little more similar to like gharials, I think, in terms of like skull shape and like niche in the environment,
I mean,
more than
yeah.
like a crocodile niche. So they're doing more fish eating, stuff like that, than, hunting larger animals.
In terms of crocodiles proper, we got stuff like Brachychampsa montana, found in Montana, Ladiosuchus canadensis, that was originally found in Canada, and then Deinosuchus hatcheri. That one's not really named after where it was found, admittedly. Deinosuchus...
whenever you get like a name that ends like an I, it's almost always named after somebody.
Yeah.
In this case, presumably somebody named Hatcher, whoever that may be.
Deinosuchus is a massive, massive crocodilian. We find it biting down onto like hadrosaurs and stuff and doing damage, and these are not small animals, the hadrosaurs.
Yeah, you can actually find a lot of hadrosaur bones that have crocodile teeth marks on them, or crocodile teeth around nearby that are often from Deinosuchus or some of his slightly smaller relatives.
It was ready to fight. Most of our crocodilian material from the Judith, though, that's going to be like teeth as well as crocodile osteoderms.
Those are going to be the most common sorts of crocodilian fossils you find in general.
Yeah, there are a series of different lizards that can be found too. Stuff like Chamops, Cygnus. They're described as like a whiptail type lizard. Exostynus lancensis. So the first one was found in another similar formation, the Lance Formation, but can also be found in the Judith.
Fun fact about the Lancet Formation, that's where recent superstar Nanotyrannus comes from. Well, actually, wait, cut that out. I lied. It's called Lancensis, but it's not from the Lance. I'm a liar and a thief.
Oh my gosh, I'm not cutting that out. Now the audience needs to know
No.
that you're a liar and a thief, Bryce.
I forgot. I forgot. Like my big gripe with his name is that it's just wrong.
Yeah. All right, Bryce. Takedown post of Nanotyrannus.
I mean, I like Nanotyrannus a lot. He's a pretty cool guy. I just wish that his name wasn't
His
a
name
formation
didn't
that he's
lie.
not from.
Yeah, that his name worked. Honestly, Bryce,
I
that's
don't-
pretty greedy of you.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
What was I thinking?
Then we got some of the best types of dinosaurs, the ankylosaurs. We've got one of each type, a notosaurid and an ankylosaurid. Edmontonia, which if you tuned into our two medicine formation talk, which you should have, it's one that we can find. A notosaurid with heavy armoring and big old spiky shoulders. Then their ankylosaurid is called Zool Curvistator, which is a reference to a lesser known film called Ghostbusters. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
No, I can't say I have.
With the Zool, its skull looked just like the demon dog Zool, and Curvistator means destroyer of shins. The reason it had that is because of its tail club.
Yeah. A very prominent characteristic on Ankylosaurid and Ankylosaurs. After that, we get to another pretty cool and often very prominent group of dinosaurs, the hadrosaurs, the big old duckbill guys. This is going to be where you can find fellows like Brachylophosaurus canadensis, the short-crested lizard from Canada. Now, as the name suggests, it's also going to be found in a Canadian formation, the Oldman, but it's also found here very commonly. This is actually going to be the formation where the very famous dinosaur mummy Leonardo was found, which is, to this day, one of the most complete dinosaur mummies ever found.
It's gorgeous.
It let us know so much about the soft tissue anatomy of hadrosaurs, especially regarding their forefeet and how they are a bit more fused, almost like a little hoof kind of structure, as opposed to their
also,
hind feet, which are separated.
Our museum played a notable role in helping with the preparation of Leonardo. Before any of us were here, we were like children at best. We are part of what's called the Montana Dinosaur Trail, and a big part of that is that it's museums helping museums. So Leonardo's currently in the Great Plains Dinosaur Museum, and our founder, Dave Trexler, helped them out with it because, well, that's what the whole point of museums helping museums is. We go and we help our neighbors.
Yeah. We also get a kind of Crithosaurus, the helmeted lizard, though not enough of it has been found to determine which of the two main species of it would be, so it's just kind of an indeterminate Crithosaurus. Generally speaking, most of those are going to all be found up at the Dinosaur Park Formation up in Alberta, Canada, but this one's down here. We also get Canada, as we mentioned earlier, based off of our Pro-Brachylophosaurus burgei, which does just kind of translate to before short-crested lizard, and burgei is an honorific, the original discoverer, I believe, from the landowner, who's called Burge. Pro-Brachylophosaurus has also been found at another formation, albeit not identifiable to the same species because they didn't have any cranial material, skull material, which is going to be the foremost formation. And it's going to be the foremost Pro-Brachylophosaurus that is one of the oldest known euhadrosaurians, or derived hadrosaurs, being around 80-ish million years, which is pretty old. The only comparable one, really, that actually has a proper name is going to be Acrostavis, which is also, at least in the two medicine specimen, in that kind of 80-ish million year range.
Now, probably the largest group of dinosaurs that the Judith River has is the ceratopsians. It has so many ceratopsians in it.
As a slight addendum, for the Laramedian ones, there are technically a couple older ones from Appalachia, the eastern side, being Eotrachodon and Hadrosaurus. But for the Laramedians, those are going to be oldest named.
It's too late, Bryce. They already left their comments calling you a fool.
Oh no.
Dang, it's over for me.
They're going to be like Bryce, more like foolish guy.
They will.
I think my favorite of the many ceratopsians is going to be Medusaceratops for story alone, if nothing else. So Medusaceratops Lokii. So right off the bat, two mythological names. Very fun.
The best kind of name.
Yes. It was originally just thought to be a heavily deformed Albertoceratops until they later found out, oh, it's just like that. So Medusaceratops because its frill horns reminded them of snake hair, so Medusa. Lokii being after the Norse god of trickery, Loki, because it had tricked them, basically. And then its close relative is actually just called Lokiceratops, and that's the fellow with a weirdly asymmetrical crest horns. Of course, there are other ones. There are Aveceratops, which is a smaller ceratopsian, partial skulls from juvenile, so it makes it harder to tell if it's something else. There's Judyceratops, which for the longest time, I genuinely just thought it was named after somebody named Judy, and not the Judith River, but I was also a child, so I'll give myself a pass.
Understandable mistake.
It wouldn't be the first time somebody named something after a person in paleontology.
It really wouldn't. I mean, I just got done listing one moments ago.
Yeah, exactly. For Cataceratops, which is, I think it's named after Fergus County where it was found. I could be wrong. That it might actually just mean something in Latin. And we'll find out.
I think it probably just means Latin.
Comments, correct me if I'm wrong. But it was also found in Fergus County. Mercuriceratops, which is just a fun name. A lot of these are going to be the type of dinosaur, or the ceratopsian called a chasmosaurine, where they've got really large frills and enlarged brow horns with reduced nasal horns. There is also Spiclipius. That's just a fun name. He's got some really...
It is a very fun...
He's got a funky frill. It's kind of like the horns on it are curving downwards. Neat. Then the relatives of the ceratopsians, the pachycephalosaurs, these thick-headed lizards, as it means. Oh, how do I even say that one? Colpiocephalae and Ponsusia. That one is actually a honorific name for a unfortunately recently passed away paleontologist, Hans Seuss. In terms of raptors or our dromaeosaurs, we have Dromaeosaurus albertensis and Saurornitholestes longstoni, which again, if you listen to our two medicine formation, that's a fellow we can find. And then there's an unknown Troodon. So Troodons are weird. Anything y'all want to add to
Universally,
that?
they're kind of poorly known.
Yeah.
So they have very distinct teeth. So when you find a tooth from a Troodon, you can be like, oh yeah, that's a Troodontid tooth. But you can't really tell, species or anything, even genus based off of their teeth. So
It's
it's
really...
just, well, that's a Troodontid.
Troodon is a currently valid taxa, but it has been flopping back and forth between being a waste bin taxa, meaning we just throw things in there and hope we figure out how they're related later. It's currently valid, but there have been times where it's just like, I'm sure we'll figure out how these are related.
Yeah, the overarching group, the actual I think there's two, Troodon proper species are always legit. It's just guys that get
Everything
lumped in with
else.
them.
Troodon formosus that we find in the two medicine formation is very much Troodon formosus. That's not what's being questioned. It's just the other things. In fact, Stegosaurus, the earliest discovered pachycephalosaur, which was thought to be, part of a ceratopsian horn, or was also thought to be a Troodon. People just throw things in there and hope they figure out how it is a Troodon later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pachycephalosaurids also have weird teeth, so they kind of sometimes get found and thought to be Troodontid teeth.
Yeah,
A lot of
pachycephalosaurs are just
these
weird.
funny classifications happened in early paleontology, where a lot of animals were just named off the basis of teeth. So we get a lot of weird cases like that, even
Which,
outside of Troodontia.
as we've covered, works great for mammals, less so for dinosaurs.
There was a whole big thing with hadrosaurs, the whole Trachodon, which was just an amalgamation of random duckbill teeth, effectively.
Can't stress enough, Bryce, you're always wrong when you say that. Trachodon is a Yu-Gi-Oh card.
How could I forget? It's true.
Speaking of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, it is depicted as a large theropod, and you know what are large theropods? Tyrannosaurs.
Good transition.
Thank you, I really tried.
I can tell.
A similar fella, Daspletosaurus. We do have Daspletosaurus in the 2-med, and there are several species of Daspletosaurus in the Judith River. So there's Daspletosaurus turosus, which is kind of the biggest one, Daspletosaurus wilsoni, and then a unidentified Daspletosaurus species. They also have Gorgosaurus libratus, that fellow with kind of the bumpy ridges over its eyes. And it's always exciting to see multiple tyrannosaurs existing in the same area. It makes you ponder a lot about what is in fact going on in this region. How could it be supporting so many large-bodied predators? Well, and there's more things we'll list, but I'm sure y'all figured out there's a lot of food to be eaten in the Judith River. It's very abundant.
Laramidia, as a continent, is very significant for having an incredibly high amount of mega herbivorous animals living at the same time. for such a relatively small landmass. There's a lot of very fun biogeographic studies done on that kind of thing. Like the closest modern day analog would be Africa, but
And
this is
even
kind of to a
that.
different level just because how much smaller Laramide was than the
Africa
African
specifically,
savanna.
like the savannah, yeah.
Mhm. Like, saying it's the closest does not make it close.
No. And for the dear listeners, mega herbivorous is just a term that describes an animal that is like a herbivore that is over 2,000 pounds.
So a lot of megafauna would have been mega herbivorous.
Yes. That's where like the whole like megafauna thing comes from. It's about like that kind of size, but megafauna also applies to carnivores.
I have heard people, like, the way I learned it is everybody is going to use megafauna in whatever way best suits their paper, so just look at what they're saying and to figure it out.
Yeah, I feel like megafauna has a less clear-cut definition than mega herbivorous dinosaur. That's usually settled on as 2,000 pounds.
Yeah,
I've typically heard like 100 pounds for like megafauna.
I've heard even like
Only
50
100?
pounds, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
I've heard
that's
100,
just
100
people.
pounds tends to be
Like,
pretty typical. Yeah, well, humans are considered megafauna by a lot of people.
are we?
It depends who you
That's
ask, of
wild.
course. Yeah,
Because like for most things that I've seen, like at least if we're talking about like North American stuff, there's very few megafauna left. The only things are really like moose, walrus. That's
Elephant
about it.
seals.
Yeah, that's fair.
what
Elephant
about a
seals too.
bison?
They don't get over 2,000 pounds. Do
They
they?
don't really.
They definitely do.
Did they?
I,
Hold up.
I can imagine a big bison that's like 2,000 pounds.
Ah, the bulls weigh up to 2,000 pounds. So yeah, some of them are. Some.
Okay.
I thought Bryce was gonna hit
The
us with
females are around 1,000.
I thought Bryce was gonna hit us with, well, they're not actually herbivorous.
Well, if we're talking about like older bison, like bison antiquus, yes, bison antiquus was huge and basically always over 2,000 pounds. So I mean that one for sure.
Anyway,
Yeah, but
speaking
I've
of
typically
bison
heard like over
antiquus,
100 pounds.
there's some other birds that can be found in the Judith River, just like bison antiquus.
No, bison antiquus, and he often says this, is his favorite bird.
Yeah. The weird thing is the people at like the Wendy's drive-through don't really appreciate it each time I bring it up.
Yeah,
Well, if they're not birds, why do they have wings?
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Why would they be chained?
Why
Buffalo
would
wings.
they be Buffalo Wild? Exact.
Yeah. Look, they're just not ready for the truth.
They're really not.
Anyways, Hesperornis, which is a silly little, just okay. Google Hesperornis. Dear listeners, I need you to see this fella. He's great. Just, you know how penguins are super speedy in the water and absolutely useless on land? Dial that up to 11.
Yeah, kind of like a weird aquatic bird. Gonna be eating fish.
Yeah, but just such a goober. Also, the mosasaurs I studied for my master's definitely ate a fair deal of these guys.
Do you
So-
find like Hesperornis like bones in their like stomach?
Yeah, a lot of mosasaur gut content had like Hesperornis stuff in it, which
That's
I
actually
mean,
really cool.
it really is like how leopard seals are the primary hunter of like penguins. It's a similar type thing. Or I guess one of the primary hunters. You also have orcas, which are nasty in their own right. Besides Hesperornis, so these ones aren't birds. Just some other like maybe there is something that is an ornithomimid, maybe. And then Ricardo Estia, which is, well, Bret, take it away.
Yeah, Ricardo Estia, it's kind of like a very fake dinosaur. It's one of these dinosaurs that's only known from teeth, which is already not a great start from what we know about dinosaurs and teeth, as we've talked about plenty of times before. And it's kind of known from all over the world. It's some kind of small theropod dinosaur. Based off its teeth, we can tell that much, but they'll just find like these little teeth everywhere, places in US, Canada, Uzbekistan, and then kind of all say it's the same group, which is, probably unlikely. Those places I've mentioned, not all of them are close to each other. Kind of its own weird thing.
And then
Some kind of small theropod.
what's really fun about the Judith River, being that it was one of the sites of the Bone Wars, is it has an insanely long list of dubious / outdated taxa that just were not there, or probably not. Like plenty names that were debunked, like Diclonius. Well, I mean, some people still believe in it.
Diclonius is a very sad hadrosaur, theoretically, that is based on teeth.
Monoclonius, which is not a hadrosaur despite the similar sounding names, but a potential ceratopsian. Like just, oh hey, Trachodon's in here. What a shock. Like just a lot of...
Yeah, a lot of the Copen Marsh era hadrosaurs. There's a few other ones like Pteropelix, which is another one
Mhm.
that is based off of teeth.
Yeah.
Well, I think that one's like teeth and like a sad hip.
And then Joseph Letty came in and was like, Deinodon is here. And is Deinodon even an accepted genus?
I don't think it is anymore.
It means horrible tooth.
No.
I think it's been kind of folded into like Tyrannosaurs now.
Yeah, it's just vague Tyrannosaurid. And then some more of the confirmed stuff. There are plenty of turtles. You know, we mentioned this earlier. The ones we're working on we think might be Boslemmies. Hopefully, as we continue to prep them, we can confirm that a bit more.
Basilemes is going to be one of the more widespread turtle genera. You can find them in lots and lots of places throughout Laramida.
Yeah, so like our flatter turtle shell might be Boslemmies, a reasonable assumption. Yeah, just as we prep, we can identify more. And then just so many different plants. Oh, like we listed all those
cycads,
herbivores.
conifers,
Yeah,
flowers.
it was just such a lush tropical swamp. But yeah, it's a really cool formation to dig in. Plenty of cool dinosaurs, and honestly, really nice to prep. It's not like you need a secret technique or anything. You just need a glue and a dental pick. But I've been Andy,
I'm Bret.
Oh, one day in the future, be Bryce.
and have a good one.
That's one conversation down, and there's millions more waiting for us out in the ancient dirt. If you want to join the crew on their next auditory adventure, subscribe to the Fourth Favorite Hat, the Montana Dinosaur Center podcast, available wherever podcasts are distributed. You can follow the museum on social media at TM Dinosaur Center, visit tmdinosaurcenter.org, or swing by the museum in Bynum, about 80 minutes north of Great Falls on Highway 89. Thanks for listening.